Hello, Parsons students. This is Marcos, and this is our week 2 overview and week 3 briefing for the upcoming week 3. And I just want to go through what we talked about in class yesterday quickly, just to remind you of what's due next and how to approach next steps in the design of your baby board book. So I've got a to-do list here that gives us an overview. We presented our research concept decks yesterday together in class and had some really great ideas and results and inspiring research and cool inspiration on design and illustration and typography. And so everyone got some feedback from me, and just a matter of you now understanding kind of the response you got and the direction you were given. I wasn't too overly specific on anything, kind of leaving it open for you guys to decide how you want to develop your concept for your book into a design. But if you're struggling with that over the week, over the weekend, even just reach out to me by email or send me a Slack. And I'm happy to either email you back or even set up a quick Zoom review if you want. So as you're doing that, you're going to refine and finalize your book concept statement. If you were still kind of in progress and needed to develop that idea further, let's have a finished concept statement that you include at the end of your first deck, at the beginning of your new deck now. And if you still need to develop a concept, of course, keep doing that. And even if you have two concepts and you want to kind of develop two concepts, even at this early stage, I'm not against that at all. It's more work, but I'm all for more work. And if it's a way for you to really feel good about which way to go and you want to start developing both, I'm all for that. Just make sure you manage your time well. So what we'll be doing once we have a concept statement is we're going to create a storyboard of your book, and I'll show you that here in a sec. And then we're going to create some preliminary design sketches or layouts of examples of the direction you want to take with your design. So this is what we looked at last week in terms of your first assignment, the research presentation. And as we talked about, this is the design concept statement, and it's going to be a matter now of finalizing this, maybe picking one and filling out, writing out, editing, completing the statement to make full sense in written words. And then what you're going to do for your next assignment is you're going to add to this from here, and you're going to build new pages that can continue this presentation of your design process. So we're going to create a storyboard, and in order to do that, I just have a few illustrations. What you want to do is you want to sketch out some sort of format that showcases your 16-page book in 7 spreads and a cover and a back. In this case, they put the cover and the back together at the front, but it's eight spreads. So 7 spreads are for your interior of your book, and the front and back is the cover. So here we have a book, and basically this is page 1, and then when you open it, you got page 2 and 3, and then it goes all the way through until you have pages 16 and 17, and then you have 15 and 16, and you have 14 and 15, and then you have page 16. So 7 spreads and a cover, and you can see here there's 8 spreads here, and the front and back in this particular format are just together, basically signifying as if the book was laying flat, to show the front and the back together. But this is one way of doing it in terms of creating infrastructure or a wireframe that describes what it is, how you want to format your book. It doesn't necessarily have to be visual or conceptual. It can be, and I kind of maybe encourage it to be, but if this is where you're at, this can work as well. But the more typical, probably best example of how to do this is to combine both your planning of how your concept is going to work in a design format, an illustration format, a text and typography. Like this is really like planning out that book. And as we talked about in the class, this storyboard is quite similar to how the actual book ended up being, and was a real influence. If you can see here there's page 1 and 2, which is actually 2 and 3, but here is what that looks like. So it really kind of did make a lot of decisions, and there's the waffle for the book. And so this is something to really think about seriously and be able to know that what you're doing right now is going to lead you towards your end result. Don't make that be pressure. And of course it could be malleable, and I'm not expecting that you do this so that it ends up being that, but it's a thing to shoot for, so then you can adjust and change and can make it completely different if needed. But this is how I want you to start. And as I showed you, this is kind of like really taking it to the next level and having this very precise and thought through storyboard, which of course would be great, but it's not like I'm expecting that. This is a process that does have a lot of like mystery and unknowns, and design is not, it's I wish it was as simple as what we're seeing here, and all of a sudden there's a book and you just drew it out of nowhere. But so I know there's a lot of like thought and suffering and struggle to get to exactly what you want. So this is great to aspire to, but and to actually do, but don't feel like you have to necessarily work this way. And then once you do your storyboards, it's a matter of beginning to look at a few sample spreads. You might want to do them roughly like this. These are some spreads from the OU book, and it kind of showcases how the illustrations ended up being in a rougher way. Or if you're more comfortable working straight out of Illustrator or InDesign, you might want to use the template that we're providing and start designing in that kind of digital way. Depends on what you're doing, and I'll leave that up to you. So I've got all this up on Canvas, and in Canvas, there's also a link to the to this template that basically gives you what we'll be needing to work on in terms of a digital file that we will supply to the printer. And as we talked about, you've got the cover, spine, and back on the first spread. And when we're designing, just keep in mind that each book is going to have this little dirt logo here in the corner, and that you're going to want to also consider there'll be a spine that's a 1/2 inch. And on the back, we're going to have a little rectangle paragraph that still gives you room to do something interesting, but this for sure has to be here. And so keep in mind that in your thinking. And then there's a few more examples of how that works. So here's kind of a visual of what you should be finishing. Basically, you're going to have a storyboard on one of your pages following your design concept statement. And then you're going to show, here's a couple of options of how the cover can work with different color and layout ideas. And here are some inside spread ideas based on the design direction. And again, these could be sketches. They don't have to be this final and finished. It depends on how you want to work. And then this is just giving you the full idea that now that you've completed next week's assignment, you're going to have added to this deck a fuller story. And of course, always never forget, thank you. Always thank you. So this is the part we're going to be doing for next week. And on the server, there's we'll be uploading it to actually part 2, not part 1. And there's also a bunch of these videos that show the books just being paged through in a simple way. And I encourage you to really kind of, particularly if you're getting stuck or unsure, to spend time looking at that, be open to what's possible, get inspired, get influenced, and really just take from what we've done in the past 3 or 4 3 classes or so to really learn from what they've done, because there's a lot of great ideas, and there's room for you to gain something from this. So those are going to be in the class resources. If you go into the Design for Literacy Google Drive, you'll find that they're all in the class resources. Okay, so that's it for now. Do reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll look forward to meeting you on Thursday. I will reach out by email to talk about exactly how we'll do it, if it'll be the full class or if we'll break up into groups. So I'm not sure yet, but I will do that soon, or in the middle of the week, or even the day of class. Maybe I'll try to do it sooner. But reach out to me if needed, and look forward to seeing your next steps. Thanks, everybody.